My great-grandfather worked the ground just up the road. Probably brushed a horse a lot like this one. Probably stood in a barn a lot like this one. Probably worried about the same things I worry about. Whether the next generation was going to have what we had. Whether the work I was doing was going to be worth it. 200 years later, I'm still asking that question, and I don't like the answer the system keeps giving me. My name is Ken Estes Jr. I'm running for Congress as an independent in New York's 24th Congressional District. I'm a seventh generation on this land. My family came to Boston in 1684, came west to Livingston County about 1825, and we've been farming, breeding horses, raising kids, and burying our people here ever since. My father is a farmer. I'm careful about that word, farmer. That title belongs to him. I call myself a land steward because what I do here is try to leave the soil and the water and the creek out back a little better than I found it. This is Joe Glenn Drago. He's a Lippet Morgan stallion, one that we bred, one of the oldest American breeds of horses and bloodlines there is. They were bred for steady work, built to last, built to do the job no one else wanted to do. That's the kind of representation I think we need in Washington. I don't think we've had that in a long time. Here's something most voters never get told. When you walk into a voting booth in November, the names on the ballot didn't get there by accident. They got there because of rules. And in New York, those rules are not the same for everybody. If I were running as a Republican, I need 1,250 signatures to make the ballot. If I were running as a Democrat, 1,250 signatures. As an independent, 3,500 signatures in 42 days, a window across 14 counties, over 7,000 square miles of district, 140 or more towns, and every one of those signatures can be and almost certainly will be challenged in a court of law by lawyers from the major parties that keep on retainer. A wrong middle initial, a date in the wrong format, an address that doesn't match the voter rolls, gone, thrown out, which is why we don't aim for 3,500, we aim for 5,000 just to be safe. Who decided that? Nobody you ever voted for. State legislature wrote those rules. Democrats and Republicans sitting in Albany, working together for once to make sure they never have to face a serious challenge from outside their own clubs. It worked. Most independents in this state never make the ballot. Most don't even try. The cost is too high, the hill too steep. So you, the voter, get told you have two choices, column A, column B, and anyone else is a wasted vote, a spoiler, a dreamer. And we're not looking, the money rolls in. My opponents will raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of them more than $1 million, from PACs, from billionaires, from donors who couldn't find Caledonia on a map. That money buys ads, it buys consultants, it buys polling, it buys a story about who you are and what you want, and that story gets told to you over and over again in your mailbox, on your TV, in your social media feed until November when you go in and you pick from column A or column B. This isn't democracy. That's a vending machine with 2 buttons and someone else, somebody you never met, somebody who has never set foot on a farm in Livingston County, picked what's inside. Who decided? Nobody you ever voted for. I think I can go into Washington and fix everything. Anybody who tells you that is lying to you, and probably to themselves. I'm running because the land we're handed to the next generation. That land my great-grandfather and grandparents inherited. The healthcare situation in rural New York is a quiet crisis. People here can't afford a place to live in the towns where they grew up. The food system that fed the country for 200 years has been hollowed out by consolidation, and the creek out back of my property, the one that feeds the Genesee, has runoff problems that nobody in Washington seems to care about. Those are my 4 pillars: accessible health care, affordable housing, a sustainable food system, a clean rural environment. Not radical, not partisan, things every neighbor I've ever talked to in this district agree with. So why aren't we getting them? Because the people in office answer to donors, not to neighbors. The rules of the game are written to keep it that way. My grandfather used to tell me about barn raisings, back when this country still knew how to do them. Somebody's barn burned down or blew over, and the neighbors showed up. They brought lumber, they brought tools, they brought food. Nobody got paid, nobody asked who you voted for. You just showed up because that's what neighbors did. And by sundown, there was a new barn standing where there hadn't been one that morning. That's what I'm asking you for, a barn raising. I can't do this alone. I'm one man with a brush, a clipboard, and a stubborn streak. The rules weren't written so I would fail. They were written so I would fail by myself. But the rules weren't written so to stop a barn raising. So here's what I need from you. And I want to be honest. It's going to cost you something. Not money, time, a little bit of effort, a little bit of inconvenience. First, if you're a registered voter in New York's 24th, sign my petition before May 26th. That signature is a signal most valuable thing you can give this campaign. Not a yard sign, not a like and a share, a piece of paper. Second, come to a conversation in a barn we're hosting them across the district, one in Canisius and one in Sackett's Harbor. Also, come to one of our drive-up petition signing gatherings all across the district that are popping up. You can bring a neighbor. Tell me what actually is on your mind. I want to hear it. That's what the whole point. Third, you can carry a petition yourself. If you have 10 neighbors, you can probably get 10 signatures. Email me at info@ken4newyorks24th.org and I'll get you a clipboard in your hands tomorrow morning. And 4th, in November, vote. And bring 3 people who weren't going to go. They wrote the rules so I'd fail. The 2-party donors, the billionaires who like the system exactly the way it is. If I fail, it won't be because of the ideas were wrong. It'll be because not enough of us were willing to do the small, unglamorous work of signing a piece of paper at a kitchen table on a Tuesday night or a drive-in petition signing on a Saturday morning. I don't believe that about my neighbors. I've spent my whole life on this land with these people. I've seen us pull each other's trucks out of the ditch in February. I've seen us feed each other through funerals. I've seen us show up. This is just another barn raising. The lumber is stacked. The plans are drawn. I've got the hammer in my hand. I just need you to show up. Bye for now.